you're welcome to all of you. Nice to see you again. Some good shares there. So let's go straight into today's teaching. Have a look at our quote for today. It'll lead us nicely into today's lesson. In the workbook lesson, we're going to look at number 6, pathway 6 of the 12 pathways to higher awareness. All right, so let me share my screen with you. Okay, so Lynn, why don't you read that? The quote from Brené Brown.
Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are.
Yeah, interesting lady, this Brené Brown. If you do some research on her, American professor, lecturer, author, and podcast host. She emphasizes the need for practicing the art of letting go every day. That's what she's saying. Practice of letting go. So we can let go of the false egoic self that society tries to tell us is who we are and discover who we truly are. But it's a practice of letting go. So it doesn't just happen. We must practice it. So you become your authentic self when you practice letting go. That's what she's saying. Which makes it quite practical. So how do you know your true self? Well, I don't know. I suppose I can meditate. No, you just let go of what's false, of who we think we're supposed to be. Do we think we're supposed to be? That's our past conditioning, programming. That's what other people tell us we should be. It's what society tells us we should be. She's saying let go of all of that. And when you let go of that, then naturally you embrace who you are. You don't have to try. What's left when you let go of the false, of who you think you're supposed to be, is the truth. And it reveals itself naturally. So just practice the letting go, and you can't help but find your authentic self. And so these spiritual practices like Vipassana, body scanning technique, they're all parts of this process, this practice of letting go. It will help you to start letting go of the thoughts and emotions. In other words, the ego that doesn't serve you. So this is the Vipassana technique as it's taught in Vipassana workshops, retreats. You start off with breath watching. You do that for several days, and then you go into the body scanning. So you combine them. You do some breath watching to just get you into it, and then you go into the body scanning, where you run your awareness from the crown of your head down through your body, the various sections of your body. You start with one arm at a time, one body part at a time. Ultimately, you can get to the point where you can do both arms at the same time. You can kind of quicken it up. But when you're learning it, it's helpful to really just focus in on one area at a time. Put your whole awareness there and just notice what you're feeling. And it's just a sensation. The idea behind the body scanning is that you don't react to anything. Any sensations, anything arising in the body, you just observe it. It's just a sensation. You observe it without any attachment. So the best way of understanding this is to actually practice it, because it is a practice, not a theory. So shall we do a breath watching and body scanning meditation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So make yourself comfortable. Try and sit up when you're doing this. So sitting up straight in a chair or your couch. Keep your back straight. You're sitting on a chair, feet shoulder width apart. You want to sit on the floor on your bed, you can cross your legs. You can put your legs, your two soles of your feet together, so they're facing each other. And that puts a bit less pressure on your knees. So it's maybe a more comfortable posture. Experiment with that. And you can hold the feet together. You're sitting on a chair, just have your hands, palms facing upwards on your thighs. Just open to receive. Make sure your back straight and close your eyes. We're going to start off just with some breath watching. So just observing the breath flowing into your nostrils. So you breathe in, and then naturally you breathe out through the nose again, and just observe, notice the sensations. Just focusing on the sensations in your nose. So as you breathe in, you notice the air flowing in, the sensation in your nostrils as you do that. And you exhale, breathing out. Notice how the air flows out. Feel the touch of the breath in the area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. Focusing on that and the sensation in your nostrils. And you're just going to breathe in and breathe out and observe the sensations. That's it. Very, very simple practice. There's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Of course, your mind might have other ideas, and so if you notice your mind wandering, and then just return your attention to the breath. Just focusing all your attention on subtle sensations of the breath flowing into the nose and then the breath flowing out. And notice the touch of the breath on the area between your nose and your upper lip as well. Really focusing in on these subtle sensations that you usually never notice. They're always there, you're just not noticing. And just breathing in and breathing out. And just observe sensations of the breath. If your mind wanders, bring it back to that simple practice. Whenever you notice your mind's wandered and you're thinking about anything at all, no matter how legitimate it seems to be, just bring it back to observing the breath. And there's nothing else to do for the next few minutes. Just going to observe the breath flowing into your nostrils and out of your nostrils, and the touch of the breath in the area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. And just put 100% of your focus on these areas. So you refining your awareness, just narrowing it down, focusing your awareness on these areas. If any thoughts arise, just observe them and you're wanting just to let them go. Focus all your attention on the breath. So now just gently keep the breathing just going in the background. Those deep, slow, rhythmical breaths is the foundation of your practice. So you're going to put your attention on the body. And start at the crown of your head. Just be aware of what it feels like. Put your attention there for a few moments. While you continue breathing, just watching the breath. And just run your awareness down the back of your head. Just feeling sensations in the skin. Maybe there's tingling, itching, prickling. And just notice. There's no need to judge, name, label, react in any way to these sensations. Just observe it. Run your awareness down the other way from the crown of your head through your face. Just noticing your forehead, your eyebrows, your nose, cheeks, sides of your face, your ears, whatever feelings and sensations are going on, you just observe them. Put your awareness on them and just observe without reacting or judging in any way. Find your mind wanting to do that. You can just return it to the breath briefly. Just focus on the breath or the body and does that mind activity. The breath might be easier than the body at the moment, so return to the breath. For a few breaths, you just observe it. You keep running your awareness down into your neck, back of your neck. Notice any feelings. Maybe there's muscle tension there, some neck pain. But don't label it as pain. Just observe the sensation of it. Maybe it's tingling, it's itching, it's prickling. Go deeper than just the surface level of the skin. Penetrate in your awareness deeply into the neck so it goes all the way through to the other side, to the throat. And just notice these sensations. Notice what you're feeling in your shoulders. And maybe there's tension there, tightness. I just noticed that it's a sensation. You might feel tingling and prickling and warmth. You just notice. Without judgment, without attaching. So in this way, we're not making the body real. You're noticing the sensations, but not reacting to them. And in your mind, they're not as real as they were before. It's part of letting go of identification with the body, and letting go of your emotions, which manifest in and through the body. Observing the body sensations, you let go of emotions as well. It helps you let go of the emotional blocks to your true awareness, systematically and progressively. So notice now, and your attention down your one arm. Take your left arm and just notice what you're feeling in your bicep and tricep. And your elbow, and down through your forearm, underside of the arm, through your wrist, into your hands, your hand, and run your awareness all the way back up from the fingers, and see what you feel in your fingertips, your fingers, your hand, palm of your hand, the back of your hand, your wrist, forearms, underside of your arms, elbows, elbow, your tricep, your bicep, and up into your shoulder. In the left shoulder, run through shoulder to the other side. Notice what you're feeling in your right shoulder. Again, don't try and change anything. Don't name it in your mind. Don't judge the sensation. Just observe very quietly. Remember that you're just breathing in and out through your nose. That's the background to this. Just keep doing that. So run your awareness down through your right arm, through your upper arm, bicep, and your tricep, down into your elbow, your forearm, the underside of your arm, wrist, your hand, and then bring your awareness all the way back up. Notice what's happening in your fingers, your hand, palm of your hand, the back of your hand, through your wrist, your forearm, the side of your arm, through your elbow, your tricep and your bicep, up back into your right shoulder, and run your awareness down the back, sensations in your upper back, the front of the body and your chest, and penetrate your awareness right through the body, noticing the subtle energy of your body, the life energy of your body. And your awareness down to your middle back, stomach. And notice a warmth, tingling feeling in your stomach, whatever the sensation is there. Just notice it into your lower back. And any tension, any sensation there, just observe it without judging it. If you're not a body, then whatever sensations are happening, seem to be happening in the body are not true or real. So why are you reacting to them if they're not true or real? Just observe them without judgment. This is the way. Start undoing your attachment to the body, to the belief that you are a body. So notice what's going on in your stomach, your lower back, in your buttocks, through your groin. Notice any heat, pressure, tingling sensation, anything going on, but without judgment. So notice some sensation and moving on. Let your awareness run down your left leg into your thigh. It's running down the front of your thigh, the back of your thigh, down to your knee, to your shin, your calf, and your ankle, the heel, the soles of your feet, upper parts of your feet, down to your toes, and your left foot. And the weight of it, the tingling sensation. For the first time, really just putting all your attention onto your foot. And bring your awareness all the way back up from the tips of your toes through the foot, the soles of your feet, that foot, the left foot, and then up through your ankle, through your shin, your knee, back of your knee, the thighs, quadricep, the back of your thighs, and to your buttock. And go to the other side. That's what's happening in your right buttock. Any sensation there, and then bring your awareness down into your thigh. Front of your thigh, the back of your thigh, through your knee, back of your knee, down through your shin and your calf, Just notice whatever sensations in the body and penetrate through. It's not just on skin deep, it's the whole leg going way deep into the bone and the flesh, the muscle. Notice there's a subtle life energy. It's vibrating and tingling. You start to notice that. And your awareness down into your ankle, upper part of your foot, your heel, sole of your right foot, through the foot into the toes. It's the weight of your foot pressing onto the ground or the bed, wherever you happen to be sitting. And run your awareness up through the right foot, back up through the toes, top of your foot, the sole of your foot, heel of your foot. On that, run your awareness through your ankle and your shin, your calf, through your knee, back of your knee, thigh, upper thigh, back of your thigh, into your right buttock. Your stomach, lower back, chest, your middle back, your shoulders, your neck. Just noticing all these sensations in this very calm, detached way. And your awareness through your arms, on the tips of your fingers, through your fingers, your hands, palms, your wrists, and the side of your arms, your forearms, through your elbows, your triceps, your biceps, your shoulders. Just breathe in, notice any tension in the shoulders and your neck. Just breathe into it and let go, release. Just drop the shoulders down, away from your ears. There's the sensation in the neck. And then when it's back up, up, back up into your head, back of your head, your neck, into your jaw, your lips, your teeth, the nose. Again, notice the subtle sensations in your nose as you breathe in and out. Touch of the breath just on the area below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. Let's do that for a couple of breaths. Sensations in your whole nose and cheeks and your cheekbones, your eyes, forehead. The crown of your head. So now just scan your whole body. Just in 30 seconds, run your awareness away from the crown of your head, through your face and your jaw, neck, shoulders, down through your arms, your fingers, through your upper back, shoulders, chest, stomach, your lower back, to your groin, your buttocks, through your thighs, back of your thighs, down into your knees, shins, your calves, your ankles, your toes, feet and toes, and then all the way back up again on the tips of your toes through your legs, lower parts of the legs, the upper legs, through your groin and your stomach, back, your upper back, the neck and shoulders, through your arms, from the tips of your fingers all the way up through your hands, your wrists, arms, triceps, biceps, into your shoulders, through your neck and shoulders, into the back of your head, your face, relaxing your jaw, to the crown of your head. Just be aware here for a few moments of your entire body. Just notice all the sensations as a one. It's like one awareness, able to just encompass the whole body, look at it, observe it without judgment, going into the one transcendent awareness that you really are. And just stay here in this awareness for a few minutes, observing the body, observing the breath. It's flowing in and out of you. It's not really you breathing, it's just happening to you, through you, and for you. Just observe it in a whole perspective on the body that you may not have had before, from this higher awareness. And look on the body as one feeling. It's just a feeling sitting there somewhere in your awareness. That's all the body is. And just sinking deeply into your own awareness. There's nowhere else to go, and there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to think about. Next couple of minutes, you just breathe, observe the breath, observe the body, the whole body. Stay in that pure witnessing state. Your mind and body are totally relaxed. And just observe it all without attachment, without judgment. All the next couple of minutes of deep silence. So just coming back now out of this very deep state of awareness, and you bring your attention back into the body and the breath, senses in the world. Maybe you drifted off for a while. Just transcended those for a bit. Notice how peaceful it was when you did that. You bring yourself back into awareness of body senses to bring your mind back into this world. It's not ultimately real. It's a temporary home. It's where we are for now. So just gently come back, and on the count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. And you scan your mind. So just noticing any thoughts and emotions, any related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative or limiting, contracted or constricting, and then just let it go. And exhale, notice how the air flows out, the chest and the stomach suck back in. The count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Doing that and noticing what you're hearing in the surrounding environment, but without any judgment. So practice the same non-judgmental practice. There's no judgment. Notice how peaceful it is when you feel that way. Anchor the state in, carry the state with you for the rest of the session and on into the rest of your evening and your week. So it is said and so it is done. And now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just take a moment to look around, just observing the room, wherever you are, just noticing whatever you happen to see with detachment. Don't name it, judge it, or label it. Notice that the same state, this very peaceful state, is still there. And though your eyes are now open, you can close your eyes briefly, notice that state. And you open your eyes, look at something else. Notice exactly the same state, irrespective of what object you're looking at, or even a person. Exactly the same state. Close your eyes, notice the same state is there. Open your eyes, the same state is there. So you're training your mind that this underlying state of peaceful awareness is always there, irrespective of what you're perceiving with your senses, irrespective of whether your eyes are open or closed. Which is a great lesson to learn, because it's teaching you that this awareness is fundamental. It's fundamental awareness. Always there, always with you. You can never lose it. Just need to learn to tap into it, let go of what obscures it, which hopefully this meditation has helped you do. So that brings us to the end of the meditation, Vipassana or breath watching, body scanning meditation. So yeah, I think let's just have a little debrief on that. Anyone like to share anything related to this, to the meditation? And welcome to Karen. Glad you could join us. Yeah, so everyone's still asleep. Everyone's zoned out. Uh, yeah. So,
Hi.
hi, Karen. How are you?
Good.
Hi,
Yeah,
Karen.
Thank you. Hi.
yeah. Welcome. I just caught the tail end of a meditation there. Your timing was quite good. So, yeah, anything to share, anyone, on that meditation? Any questions?
Yeah, I like the body scanning because it takes you away from the mind.
Mm.
And it was quite interesting. My hands, instead of them being painful and burning, they were warm and comforting. So kind of
Mm.
reframed it.
Mm. You just notice the sensation. That's the key. Don't judge it, just
Yeah.
notice. So, what is pain but a sensation? If you just notice the sensation, start naming it and judging it as pain, and it's just a sensation. That's the beginning of letting it go. As soon as you name it and you judge it and you label it, it's pain. Oh, this isn't good. I don't want the pain. I'm going to avoid the pain. I need to do something to stop the pain. What have you done? You've made it real in your perception, and what you resist persists. It's a form of craving. Buddha noticed this, and he said, whether you're desiring something you don't have or you resisting, he called it aversion, resisting what is currently in your experience. It's the same. You're craving for it not to be that way. And if you notice, the more that you desire for something not to be a certain way, the more it seems to stick
Yeah.
and
True.
that way, because what you
True.
resist persists. So
Mm-hmm.
this is getting over the desire. You're not desiring anything. You just observe. It's pure witnessing. You just observe. And if there's no desire and no avoidance, uh, it has no, you're removing the emotional power of it. Do you see that? I
Oh,
really
yeah.
understood this. They do something in the Vipassana meditation retreats, an hour of firm determination, the sitting of firm determination. So you sit cross-legged on your mat and pillow, etc. And the idea is not to move for an hour. And they did this on about day 4, I think. So we initially they kind of went easy. And said, look, if you need to move, you can. It was like, okay, so you're not going to move for 1 hour. So I got myself into a particularly uncomfortable position somehow. I changed my normal position. So, they're saying this. I'm going, well, my left hip is already sore. How am I going to last an hour? I was like, okay, let's just work with this. And apply that, apply the practice. So I just observed a body scan, went into that area, and when I got there, I just observed the sensation. I was like, okay, so it's kind of tingling, the heat, and then I moved through it and went down, and I did that a number of times in the hour, and I got through the hour. And then I understood what it was about. It was like, okay, I get it. That you're not supposed to name, judge, or label experience. If you resist that, and I was going, oh, this is painful. I need to stop it, and then I move. Then I haven't learned the lesson. It's to observe it without wanting to do anything about it, to hide it, or as in the invitation, without wanting to hide it or fade it or fix it. Just observe.
Mm.
And then it dissipates. Like it was okay. It wasn't really a pain. It was just a sensation. And I was able to go through the hour. When I stood up I nearly fell over. Oh, goodness. That was, yeah, but it was okay. I survived. There was no damage done. And I learned what Vipassana was all about in that hour of firm determination. It was great experiential learning. So that's the idea. The more you practice, the more you learn experientially. And you start becoming aware that you are more than your body by just observing it and observing the sensations of it and observing emotions as they play out in the body as sensations. You see that you're not any of that. That's not you. It's just temporary sensation arising. You can witness it without getting attached to it, without judging it, naming it, labeling it, getting upset about it, reacting to it at all. And so you're learning then to let go of the emotions, which possibly the hardest thing to let go of. So Buddha understood that the emotions manifested in your body as sensations. So the way in to the emotions was through the sensations in the body. And when I understood that, I was like, oh, I get it. I think I understand Buddhism now on a much deeper level. It's not really about the noble truths and the eightfold way, and those are that's the theory. But actually, the practice of it is this: is letting go of emotions by observing the sensations in the body. And if you keep doing that, you strip away all of the power of those emotions. They no longer have the power to govern you. And you become clear and light and free. So it's just another way of letting go. So I was like, okay, well, you've got the Course in Miracles, which comes from one spiritual master, Yeshua, and it's very much focused on thoughts. You need to observe your thoughts and control your thoughts. And then you've got this powerful technique from another master, which is about learning to let go of your emotions. And if you combine the two, you've got something very, very powerful. So, both have a place. And it all fits within the letting go methodology. Both the thought, the mind training we're doing, we just started the daily lessons, and this kind of body scanning, breath watching meditation, which gets into the emotional body and helps you let go of emotions. It's all part of letting go. So there's no inherent, problem or contradiction. It's interesting because I got excommunicated from a particularly well-known Course in Miracles organization because I'd been on the retreat. They said, well, you're not practicing the course, you're not pure enough. But they don't really understand that it's on a deeper level. That was just another way of learning to let go. Or forgive, as the Course says, another way of learning to forgive the ego. So there's no contradiction if you understand that. It's only when you get dogmatically attached to dogma and theory, and this is the Course and this is Buddhism, then you start to make those arbitrary false distinctions, which are not really valid if you understand. If it's a genuine teaching and technique, you understand it deeply, then you'll see that it's all actually taking you in the same direction. It's all the same. Okay, or anything else to share, anyone, about the practice of that experience? Any questions?
Only that I noticed while I was out walking earlier today, like my crown was blocked and my heart felt blocked, and I started to feel that my crown was open again. So that was good. That was an improvement. Not feeling my heart yet, but better. That's better than it was.
Good. Yeah, well, just keep practicing.
Yeah.
Because it starts to, any blockages, you become aware of them, don't you? You can't
Yeah.
scan your body and not notice that there's an area that's feeling tight or tense or blocked. And then by just observing it without judgment, that act of pure awareness is releasing. It's freeing, and it starts to let go of it. So it's a very powerful technique. This is the essence of Buddhism. This is what the Buddha taught all his disciples 2,500 years ago. And it's why it spread so widely, because he gave them a practice. It wasn't based on dogma and theory. It was based on, here's a practice, I'll teach it to you. Go and practice and have your own experience and come to your own awareness. Like I have come to my own awareness. You come to your own awareness, your own experience. And so it's very different sort of quality, these Eastern teachings from the West, where it's very dogma, belief oriented. Oh, here's the dogma. Someone's decided that this is how it is, and then they teach it to you, and they say, you just got to have faith. You just got to believe it. And when you believe it, then of course you'll be saved. And if you don't believe it, well, then you're a heathen or an infidel, and then you're going to be damned. Very dogmatic. And the Eastern teachings avoid that, because it's just go and practice and experience it for yourself. And then you will see in your own experience what works and what doesn't. It's much better way of learning. Okay, and then Bakang also did it. So Bakang, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I also enjoyed the scanning of the body. I think that in itself, it felt like a healing process, of some sort. Just, looking at your body from it's like I got this imagination as if I was like out of my body and like, scanning through it, from a distance. Yeah.
You start to become aware that you are an awareness beyond the body. What is aware then of the body?
Yes.
Well, it can't be the body. There must be an awareness that's aware of it. So it gets you in touch with that awareness, which is your true awareness. It's your fundamental awareness. And you're practicing, how do you come to know your true self? Well, you practice going into this awareness. The more you identify with this awareness, the more you're connecting with your true self, the more you know yourself. And that's why, the technique works. It's like, just intellectually, theoretically try and know yourself. You actually practice going into this awareness through the technique. And the more you do it, the more you cultivate that awareness, the more you identify with that awareness, the more you become that awareness, which is your true nature. It's quite simple and straightforward, but you just got to practice. So they recommend practicing, a couple of hours a day. Very passionate whether you can do that. If you can do like one session, I'll say half an hour to 45 minutes like that, that's doing pretty well.
Okay. I will practice.
Yeah, it's another tool. I'm giving you, all the tools, and then you work out, when you use them. Maybe you do that in the morning. Maybe you do it in the evening. It's quite a nice evening one to just kind of re-energize, refresh. I just did one of these before the session, just to. It definitely, refreshes you. It's sleep substitute. Okay, so anything else to share, anyone, or any questions on that? So the technique's pretty simple. Everyone got that, how to do it. Key thing is just observe, scan the body, just observe without judgment. Don't desire any sensation, don't avoid any sensation, just pure observation. If you find yourself desiring, craving in any way, or trying to avoid, then just notice that. That's part of the observation. Okay, I'm noticing that's the case, and the more you notice it, you bring awareness into it, the more it will tend to dissipate. And that's how you undo the desiring and craving nature of the mind. By just bringing awareness into it, and it naturally starts to dissolve. And this by the way, is the very essence of mindfulness. So there's a guy called John Kabat-Zinn who got hold of Vipassana in the 1970s, and he just rebranded it. And he said, well, let's call it mindfulness. And we'll take away all the, the Buddhist overtones and the dogma of it, and just call it mindfulness and focus on the pure practice of breathing and body scanning. And that's what mindfulness meditation is about. And it's been, very popular and very helpful to many people because it just got stripped away of all the dogma over, thousands of years that accumulate, and just let's go back to the essential practice of it. So it's almost like a renewal of the Buddhist tradition, going back to the original roots, and see how powerful it's been. It's affected many millions of people's lives positively. When you strip away the dogma, it's just a pure practice, and you experientially get it rather than someone telling you what it is. You get it experientially. That's the idea. Okay, so Karen's joined us. Karen, would you like to share anything? Just bear in mind we are being recorded. If you don't want to share, then it's fine.
Yeah, no.
But giving you the opportunity.
Yeah, yesterday the exercise with the, this thing doesn't mean anything and that thing doesn't mean anything, that one.
Yes.
I quite liked that one.
The lesson.
And I don't exactly know why, but when I kind of got to the end of it, I started thinking, Karen doesn't mean anything. And that was like super freeing. I felt this weight lift off my shoulders. I was like, oh. So anyway, that was my big experience yesterday. It just felt like, a weight had been lifted. Yeah.
Has that carried through to today?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. So I've sort of, tried to put myself in that state a little bit again and again. Now I keep going out of it too, because, I'm at work, but yeah, it is kind of staying there. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So it just shows you it's just a little bit of practice, because that's actually what it's leading up to. This table doesn't mean anything. This chair doesn't mean anything. This room doesn't mean anything. The separate self that is perceiving it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Wow. That is enormously freeing. Hugely, because we've made it mean something. The Finn character, or the Jono character, or the Elaine character, or Lynn character, or Bakung character, they mean so much to us. This is the problem. The essence of Buddhism, one Buddhist master was asked, well, explain Buddhism. And he just said, no self, no problem. That's it. If there's no separate self, how can you have a problem?
Yeah.
It's only the character you've identified with, and the story, and then the character interacts with everything that's going on seemingly in this world, and creates a story out of it, and then there's emotions arise, and suffering comes. If you see the origin of it, that it really comes down to the character's interpretation of whatever data, if you want to call it that, whatever information is being streamed in to your sensory awareness. It's the interpretation of all of that. That's the problem. And the interpretation of that happens in most people's case through a construct that they call themselves. This is me. And I interpret the world in a certain way, and that's what defines me. But that's just a set of beliefs, attitudes, beliefs, values, and that can create perceptions. Is that really you? And these teachings tell us that no, that's not you. There is an awareness, but there's no limitation to that awareness. It's not like there's you and you're somehow separate from everyone else, other yous. In your true self, there's just one awareness. There's no limitation to that awareness. So you cease to become separate. There's no Karen anymore. No Jono, no Elaine, no Kang, no Lin, just a pure awareness that you are what you are. I am that I am, which is the original name of God in the Bible. You've ever studied the Bible? Yeah, when Moses had his burning bush mystic experience, he says, so who are you? He's having this, interaction with this being of sort. So, and he's been instructed to go and, go back to Israel and to Egypt and free his people. He says, well, so who should I say sent me? And this entity presence says, just say, I am that I am. I am that I am. I just am. God is. And say it however you want. But no one really understood it. Maybe Moses did, but to an extent, but because they hadn't had the experience. So although it's recorded, I am that I am. They then externalized, created some God up in the sky somewhere who's like a big father who's going to punish them or give them what they want or punish them, and that awareness gets obscured. I am that I am. It's no longer primary. It becomes very much in the background. But it's still there. And just some practices like these ones start to reveal it. So a little exercise like nothing I see means anything. Suddenly you become aware of it. You go, oh, wow. That's me. It's who I really am. And I can experience it. And freedom of it. It's just amazing. So liberating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a thought. I think it's just an idea. Just an idea internalized gives me this amazing feeling of freedom. That's how powerful our thoughts are. Yeah, so well done. And that's a miracle. And just because you're practicing, say, okay, I'll just practice, and then you never know what will show up, do you? So, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
Karen
sometimes
does.
it's a struggle. Sometimes it's a struggle, right? And then who knows, right?
Who knows when an insight like that will come?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that wasn't in the curriculum. No one said Karen doesn't mean anything. It's not what he's saying. But these insights can come. And one moment of insight like that can save you so many years of pain, because you go, oh, I got something that I might not have gotten for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's an opening. Something opens up and you're like, okay, I've got something deeper, more profound. And I can't lose that. You'll never lose that insight. Ego will come in and try and cover it over again. So you go back to work, but there's something in you that now has had a shift, and you go, okay, but maybe Karen doesn't mean anything. Remember that. Remember that when the Karen character gets obsessed or fearful or angry or whatever Karen does, remembering, well, it doesn't really mean anything. Just character and speaking and doing doesn't really mean anything. So I can just observe that, detach from the character, and then I don't have to play out the character's drama anymore. I'm free of that. I can just observe. And it just neutralizes all of it. And like, well, actually, if I'm not the character, I don't need to play out the drama anymore. I can just watch and laugh. You gotta laugh. It's a joke. That's why in the Zen tradition, it's enlightenment is a joke. Because, like, well, it was all a big joke. You thought you were this person, but you weren't. And all the drama and the pain and the suffering and the misery, it's like, but you were never that. It was just a joke. And that's very freeing.
Mm-hmm.
And you just laugh. At least I'm starting to get it now. Remember, don't know if you must know the actor Jim Carrey. In fact, he's Canadian, isn't he?
He is.
Jim
Yep.
Carrey. Yeah. So I was listening to an interview, and he's awoken quite a high degree. So he was being interviewed at some function by a reporter or someone, and he was saying to her, "Well, I don't really exist," and you could see she's like, "What are you saying?" She's trying to understand it on the level of form. And his eyes are just sparkling. He's just having fun. He's just like, no, the Jim Carrey character doesn't even exist. I'm not even real. And she's like trying to somehow make an interview of this. You can see it's just like blowing her mind. She's like, I'm not kind of able to, do my normal interview thing. Oh, well, how are you? And you must be really excited about this evening and the awards and da 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 da, all the chitter chatter that goes with these functions. And he's just like, no, I don't even exist. None of it's real. Can't remember the exact. I'll try and find it on YouTube or something and post it. But it's very funny because it's just like a totally different transcendent awareness that doesn't fit into that paradigm of the interviewer. And she's just like, I can't apply the normal sort of the normal way to this guy. I don't know how to deal with it because he's out of that box. And you could see he was just really enjoying himself. He was mischievously like, okay, I'm just gonna say this because obviously just feeling inspired or whatever. So it's there are people, so actually some quite high profile people who are awakening like this, but they don't then fit into the normal construct anymore. And society doesn't really know how to deal with them. So that's how it's always been. So awakened beings don't really fit comfortably into the social structure because they're saying, well, none of it's true, none of it really exists. It's just construct of the mind. So why are you all being limited by? It's just a construct. It's not true. You can break free of it if you want to, and they've demonstrated that it's possible. Okay, so anything else to share? Thanks for that share, Karen. Let's crack on, shall we? Have a look at today's. I want to look at the sixth pathway to higher awareness. Yes, let's go into that. There we go. Okay, so share my screen again. I think Karen's got to go. Gotta go to class. See you all tomorrow. Okay. It was nice she joined for half an hour. Okay, so this one is the sixth pathway. We've done the first 5. Let's just recap perhaps on those. The last 2. So these are pathways 4 to 6, which are all about being here now, being in the present moment. So 4th pathway, so ask Elaine if you can read that. Just the, yeah, I might as well read the whole thing just to, we don't have to discuss it. I'll just read the whole thing. There's 4 paragraphs for us.
I always remember that I have everything I need to enjoy my here and now, unless I am letting my consciousness be dominated by demands and expectations based on the dead past or the imagined future. If you are not enjoying every here and now moment in your life, it is because your addictions, otherwise known as desires, attachments, demands, expectations, emotional programming, or models of how life should treat you, are making you dwell in the dead past or the imagined future. They are keeping you from being here now. All there is in your life is the eternal now moment, and your experience of this moment is created by the programming in your mind. You can only be here now when you instantly accept emotionally whatever happens in your life. If you wish to change something, fine, do it. And you can make real effective changes when your mind is free of emotional turmoil.
You see why the Vipassana, this body scanning meditation could help you so much, because how do you instantly accept whatever happens in your life? Well, you simply observe it. What does that mean? Instantly accept emotionally whatever happens in your life. It means you're not reacting negatively. You just observe it. And there's a, okay, I'm not bothered by this. That's what he means by acceptance. It's when you let go that you accept. That's why I don't use acceptance generally in the teaching, because it can be confusing. Well, hang on, I'm letting it go. So now you're saying I must accept it. And surely that's opposite to what letting go means. But actually, we're letting go of the negative emotions that block our true awareness. So by letting go, truly we are accepting who we really are. That's what it means to instantly accept emotionally whatever happens in your life. You've let it go and you find a sense of transcendent peace and love and joy no matter what. Okay, and then just the final paragraph.
We can always find things we can magnify to threaten our security, sensation, and power addictions. Or we can consciously perform whatever action is needed and then turn our attention to enjoying everything we have to enjoy. And we always have enough to be happy if we are enjoying what we do have and not worrying about what we don't have.
Yeah, so summary of that, if you want to put it into sentence.
Well, it's about being in the here and now, and not be dominated by all the pulls of life, of addictions and desires and expectations and all of those things, and put the dead past behind us in the imagined future, because they don't exist anymore. It's only here, the eternal now.
Yeah. In our true awareness, pure formless awareness, there's no past or future, and no demands or expectations, because those require past and future. In the now, it's just right now, there's this awareness, and it's absolutely satisfying in the moment. I don't need anything else. I don't desire anything else, crave anything else, expect anything else. I'm not avoiding anything, fearing anything. It's just is as it is, and it's perfect as it is right now. So that's what the fourth pathway opens up, just going into a higher awareness, which is perfectly present. So we'll look at this and just go into so move off that into the Holy Trinity. Shall we go into? It's done this again. Don't know why it does that. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Strange. Okay, so there's the Holy Trinity. So we raise ourselves above the awareness of this world, and we rise up into awareness of our true self that through true perceptions transcends the battleground, as Yeshua calls it. And we can just observe the character, the story, everything that's going on here with detachment from this place of true awareness as our true self. And these practices, like the meditation we just did, the letting go practice, the mind training, it's all designed to help you just to observe all this, but not get attached to it. Observe it without judgment, without emotion, and be able to let it go as a result. Okay, so that's number 4, just bringing us into the present moment, beyond past and future. The 5th pathway, let's ask Lynn to read that.
You make it bigger for me, John. I can't see it at all.
Oh, sure. So 200%. So that might be a bit big. There we go. Is that better? 5th pathway.
Yeah, thanks. I take full responsibility here and now for everything I experience, for it is my own programming that creates my actions and also influences the reactions of people around me. Whenever you feel unhappy, your emotions are telling you that people and things are not fulfilling the addictive patterns that you have allowed to be programmed into your biocomputer. But you usually do not talk to yourself in this realistic way. Instead, you blame your unhappiness on somebody or something outside of you. When you take full responsibility here and now for all of your feelings and for everything that happens to you, you will never again blame the people and situations in the world outside of you for any unhappy feelings that you have. You realize that is an evasion to blame others. You've been doing it to yourself. You can stop being a mechanical robot-like person who views themselves as pushed around by the world, i.e. a victim, when you realise that only you can oppress or hurt yourself, you begin to see the connection between your emotional programming and your suffering. You start doing something about it, which means reprogramming your mind. Your mind creates your reality. Your perceptions are the picture you create from the energies you receive from the people and things around you through your various senses. Therefore, your perceptions are the result of your interpretations of the things and people you observe and interact with. And these that confirms the beliefs you have, which continually influence how you interpret incoming sensory data. Your predictions and expectations based on your beliefs are therefore self-fulfilling, since your state of mind creates your world or perceived reality. All you have to do is change your world. All you have to do to change your world is to change your state of mind. It's the only way to live in a peaceful, happy world. I've lost that. Lost
But
that
can you see
place.
why you've lost it?
Say again?
Can you see why you've lost this feeling of happiness and peace?
Yeah, I can see that I'm perceiving other people's treatment of me as making me unhappy. There's a connection I've not quite got yet, though, because I don't quite understand these losses in that fifth pathway. I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
Well, let's explore it. I take full responsibility. So any idea of loss, the losses of this world, the sacrifice, the suffering, the death, that's all part of our own program. You're responsible because on a higher level, you go have a look at this diagram. Explains it quite well. You're responsible for anything that seems to happen in the dream world because you decided to separate from your true awareness. Once you make that error, then everything that comes from that error you're responsible for. That's why you're 100% responsible for everything that seems to happen in the illusion, because you decided to separate. And in that idea of separation came all of the pain and suffering and the misery and the death. It's all part of that choice. But this teaching is saying, well, you don't have to keep making that choice. If you understand the consequences of that choice, that any pain, suffering, any attack that you're experiencing is a result of that single false choice, then you can stop making that choice. You can free yourself from the compulsive need to be separate because you realize how hurtful it is. Can you see the connection? You're 100% responsible because you decided to separate. But because you're 100% responsible for that, you can also change your mind. And therein lies the freedom. I don't have to continue to be separate and to play out the patterns of the ego. I can make another choice. And I can choose another thought system of the Holy Spirit, of love, rather than this thought system of separation. Because I chose it, once, chose the thought of separation, I can reverse my choice and I can go back to my original state. So taking 100% responsibility means that you empower yourself to make that choice. Again, to say, I don't need to choose separation again. I can choose oneness, and I can choose it even in the face of the separation that seems to exist, when these things start happening, and you experience, say, accusation, blame, attack, feeling unfairly treated, feeling like you're a victim of a cruel world, living in a state of limitation, lack, loneliness, suffering, and inevitably going to die, you can change your mind about that. You don't have to believe that story because you invented it. So therefore you can change it. So do you see why the responsibility is so important?
I do. You know what's confusing me? 4 months ago, say, just quick, real rough guess, 4 months ago, I wasn't in this place. I wasn't in this place feeling like this. So what changed? Why have I gone into this worse place where I feel more, obviously I feel do I feel more separate? I don't understand. What's different from now to 4 months ago?
Well, various circumstances have happened to trigger the ego to arise very strongly. So if you look at, spiritually speaking, what's happened, it's just the ego fighting back, saying, well, you're not gonna experience love and peace and joy and this abundant life that you're experiencing. No, no, no. You're a separate self. Don't forget that. You're sinful at your core, so therefore you must suffer. And then it brings up all of that thought system of pain and suffering and death to remind you that you still are a separate self. That you still are Lynn. Don't you forget it. And it's fighting for its identity. It's fighting for an existence in your mind and in your life. And it uses the world as its primary weapon to do that. Remember, the world is just a projection of the separate self. So it uses that to now seemingly justify its thought system and pull you back into its control, get you under control again. And that's what's happened. Because it doesn't want to let go of itself. It can only exist in and through you, through your mind. It needs a host, like any parasite or virus. It has to have a host. If the host is trying to get rid of it, then it's gonna do its utmost to try and to stick around, convince the host that it's real. So that's what's happened, and that's quite normal. That happens. The ego doesn't just go away quietly. In most cases, it's a very sticky, persistent thought system that has many, many tricks up its sleeve and many defenses, which is why it's continued for so long. Why are we still all here, knocking around in an insane world in bodies and seemingly separated from our true awareness? Well, because the ego is very, very persistent, and it has done a good job of convincing us of the truth of it. And when we start departing from it, it has a way of trying to pull us back. And that's the drama of this world that tries to pull us back into identifying with its thought system, with the character. But this is all good from a spiritual perspective because now it's revealed itself.
Yeah.
So in the last 4 months, you've seen the depth of it. You've seen the insanity of it. You've seen how painful and hurtful it is. Again. So then you can make a choice. Do you want it? Do you want to continue on with this thought system?
No.
Or are you willing to really let it go? Really do it. Not just play at it, but really do it. Okay, I'm willing to go the whole way and undo this entire disaster of a thought system. It's catastrophic for your peace of mind, your happiness. I mean, it kills you ultimately. So are you willing to let that all go and be free? That's the question.
Mm.
So it's an opportunity to commit again. So yeah, I am willing, and I'm willing to do the work. I will do whatever it takes to be free in this lifetime. So you can commit again, dedicate yourself to this one function that you have. This is your one purpose. Your one is to awaken from the dream of being a separate self. Awaken to who you really are. That's all you have to do. Remember that. You forget that, don't you? It's very easy to forget that.
Yeah.
But that's all you're here to do. And everything you do is for that purpose. It's not to say you can't enjoy your life and take your photographs, but understand the purpose of it when you do it. It's to awaken you from this dream of being a separate self, and the guilt and the sin and the fear and the attack and the sickness and the pain and the suffering and the death that goes along with that. That's the purpose. Always. There is no other purpose. If you dedicate everything to that purpose, then you can find a happy dream. You can live in a happy, peaceful way.
I was for a while.
So, and there's no reason why you can't get back there, but now maybe even more so, because you've gone through another cycle. This is, big ego manifesting, coming up. So you move through this, you let this go. That's another big part of the ego dropped away. And that's the purpose. From a spiritual perspective, the purpose is that the ego reveals itself so that you can become aware of it and let it go.
Yeah.
And that's why everything is really gently planned for your highest good, because everything is there to help you awaken. So as painful as it may seem to be, and you go, well, why is this happening to me? It's happening because you need to let go of these thoughts and emotions that are obviously resident in you. They just sit in your subconscious. Now they're being triggered. So they need to come up. They need to come into awareness. You need to look at them. You need to process them and let them go to be free of them. That's why it's happened from a spiritual point of view. From the ego's point of view, it's happened because it's telling you that it's real. And this world is real, and this thought system is real, and it's just trying to get you to deny pure formless awareness of perfect love, which you have to say it does a pretty good job of, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because when you're in these negative states, you're not aware of that perfect love, and that's very far away, and you're just in a negative state, suffering. And that's all it's trying to do. It's trying to cut you off from your true awareness and cause you to stay in this false awareness and keep you there.
Yeah.
Just because it wants to exist. It only exists in and through limited awareness, in and through these negative states. It's bizarre, it's crazy, it's insane, it doesn't make any sense. Which is what Jesus is teaching us. He's saying this is totally insane. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for it. There's no function, there's no reason, there's no purpose to any of it. It's just a mistake. It's a tiny mad idea. We had a crazy thought we believed. It's a mistake, and it's gone, to its extreme. It's like way out of control, seemingly. But you can correct it. With this teaching, you can let it go and free yourself. So will you do that? That's the question.
Yeah.
And then, that's a very good lesson. Okay, you will do that. You've committed to it. Okay, now True character is the ability to hold to a resolution long after the state of mind in which the resolution arose has passed. Well, so you feel it now, but it's like, okay, but continue. It's like when you're tempted to go, oh, well, I don't really need that stuff anymore. I'm fine. Go, no, remember my resolution. Remember always. Whether things are very tough and seemingly terrible, or often the dangers they get good again. Then you go, oh, well, I'm fine. Really good. So I don't need to practice. I'll just go on my way, and then you forget. So maybe this is a lesson to say, well, don't forget. Keep practicing, keep on this path when you've turned the corner, because there's a need in this world for ongoing vigilance. You must be, if you're living in the ego's world, which we are seemingly, and it's completely false, and it's this insane thought system of guilt and sin and fear and attack and sickness and death. You need to be vigilant, don't you? Ongoing vigilance required, because it's there, it's in your mind, it's the thought system that governs the world, and you really need to be on your game and sharp to not fall into the trap again, as you just have. So, and you're like, okay, well, the way you stay vigilant is you practice. You make spiritual practice an integral part of your life, not a well, when I get to it, when I have time. No, it's every day I get up and I do these practices to help me. So I have a rock solid foundation. So when the storms come, the winds blow, as Yeshua says, the winds blow and the rains come, then my house stands, because it's built on the solid foundation of my spiritual practices that connect me daily, moment by moment, with my spirit. If your house is built on the sand, lack of discipline, maybe some of these ideas are nice, but you don't really apply them, you're not practicing regularly, then these difficulties come, as you've experienced, and then the house falls, and you go like, I just can't sustain, because it's not built on this solid spiritual foundation of truth and the spiritual practices that help me to live the truth, actually live it, experience it moment by moment. So it's a good lesson.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And then so you go, okay, well, that's the point. That's the purpose of it all from a spiritual perspective. You learn the lesson, you don't need to make the mistake again. You can be a lot more diligent and a lot more vigilant. And the reason you do that is because you don't want to suffer like this, and you want to experience that lovely, joyful, happy, flowing feeling that you have experienced. You want to make that your default experience. And given this, that the ego is dead set against that, that's going to take some work. It's going to take some ongoing practice and vigilance to be happy. That's just how it is in this world. If you accept that, life gets much easier. Accept that life is challenging and difficult, life gets easier. That's a quote from The Road Less Traveled, actually, in the first line of it. Life is difficult, but it gets easier when you accept that fact. And then you say, okay, well, given that, this is what I need to do to manage that difficulty. I need to just get better at my practice. I need to, be able to operate on a higher level. And that's the point. So these things can't beat you. They're just a reminder that you need to be, better, be more diligent in your practice. And you can be, and you will be.
Yeah. Well,
because you've suffered, the suffering is there to remind, like, okay, well, what's the consequence of not being? You suffer. You suffer a lot. Do you want to do that again? No. So, okay, I need to practice. So whatever comes along, it's not to say you're never going to get challenged again. Of course you will be. That's the nature of the ego in this world. It challenges you, but you get better at handling the challenges. So you become much more resilient because you've got this rock solid practice that can get you through anything. You know, when I went through a horrible time about nearly 10 years ago, it was just really, really challenging, difficult. And I was like, okay, I've got to dig deep and I've got to practice. I've got to really apply these teachings. And I've got to meditate and I've got to practice and practice and practice. And so I just listened to the course whenever I could, hour after hour. I'd go for walks, an hour and a half, 2 hours, listen to the course, practice, meditate as often as I could. It's like, okay, I've got to, I've got to get more disciplined and go deeper into this to get through this. And that was the whole point. It made me really go much deeper into these teachings and learn them on a deeper level. And it prepared me for the sort of letting go process and, running this community. It was all necessary. That suffering was very helpful because I wouldn't have gone deeper if I hadn't suffered.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So it's happening for you. Just remember that. For your awakening, for your ultimate joy. That's what it's for. Just doesn't seem that way when you're caught up in the ego, I know, because the ego's got a different interpretation of it. And that's why you've got to continuously come back to the spiritual interpretation. Say, well, that's the only interpretation that is true, that means anything. Because it has truth at its foundation. The ego is just a bunch of lies. There's no truth and no foundation. Okay, so let's go on to the sixth pathway, which is what we're studying today. So, Bakang, if you can read that. I accept myself completely here and now.
I accept myself completely here and now and consciously experience everything I feel, think, say, and do, including my emotion-backed addictions, as a necessary part of my growth into higher awareness.
Hey, John. Hello to John. How are you?
Hi, Jono. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hi, Bakang.
Hi, John.
Hi,
John,
John.
Elaine, yeah.
Hey, John.
Full house tonight. Almost. So we're just doing the sixth pathway, and then we'll have a look at the lesson briefly. It's a very short lesson, and then we'll do the text. So,
Great.
all right. So, any thoughts on that first paragraph, Bakang? Accept myself completely here and now.
I think it also talks to us, being in the here and now, accepting that, the present moment is all there ever is. And then through that, it's going to help us to actually, reach higher states of awareness. But in that present moment, whatever feelings or emotions that we are experiencing, we need to, like maybe we did with the body scaling, we need to observe them and know that they are helping us to reach higher awareness.
Yeah. Okay, including my motion back to addiction. So it's a necessary part of my growth into higher awareness. Okay, so like I'm not denying it. I'm not metaphysically ghosting or spiritually bypassing any of it. I'm aware of it. There it is. I can observe it. And I just see that it's all a necessary part of my growth into higher awareness. And so it's all happening for me. It's all okay. So the worse it seems to be, the more challenging it seems to be, the better it is, because it's part of your growth into higher awareness. That's necessary. If you never got challenged, you would never be able to grow. Okay, so let's ask someone else to read. Maybe John, if you can read the second paragraph, please. Living love way to higher awareness.
The living love way to higher awareness is based on the instant emotional acceptance here and now of that which you previously regarded as unacceptable in your life. Acceptance simply means that you won't cause yourself emotional conflict because of your current perception. Emotional acceptance doesn't mean that you have to continue living the rest of your life with a particular person or situation.
Yeah, so thoughts on that? What's he saying there? And the idea of acceptance. What do you understand as acceptance?
I understand acceptance being obviously not denying, accepting stuff that you've probably previously resisted or rejected or judged.
It means, as I interpret it, accepting means that you've let go of your resistance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a paradox. You accept by letting go, but what you're accepting then is the truth of who you are. By letting go of what's false, you accept what's true. And that connects you with who you really are. That is who you really are. It doesn't mean that you have to continually accept a situation on the level of form or a particular person. That's not what it's saying. It's just you're okay. You let go of your own negative thoughts and emotions, and you find a state of peace, which we could call acceptance. So I don't use the term very much, and Yeshua doesn't use the term acceptance because it can be confusing. Well, I'm letting go and I'm accepting. What does that mean? It seems to be a paradox. When I let go of my false self, then I accept my true self. That's what it means. Let go of false awareness, then I accept my true awareness. And if I accept my true awareness, then often a solution comes out of that. If I need to do something or say something, I need to take an action, then I can. From that higher awareness rather than from the state of emotional resistance or suffering. Okay, so let's go on to number 3, to grow in the living love way. Elaine, if you can read that.
To grow in the living love way, you do not have to drill yourself and criticize yourself with military precision. Just experience everything in an accepting, relaxed, and aware way, and realize that every one of your experiences is perfect for your here and now growth into higher awareness. Your addictions will gradually fade away when you use the living love pathways to consciously interpret all your experience. As don't try to push or force the flow of life, but rather consciously experience this flow from the vantage point of the 12 pathways.
So thoughts on that?
So it's just saying to go with the flow with this living love way rather than criticizing in a military precision way, which is what the ego does. It can be a perfectionist.
Even if you're seemingly on some kind of spiritual path and practicing, if you're criticizing yourself and you're drilling yourself and you're going, well, you didn't get that right and you didn't do that breath break and you didn't meditate properly and you're just getting it all wrong, you're not really getting it, are you? It's not the point. of the exercise and the program. So it's to relax. Say, okay, it's not I'm slack and I don't do stuff. I do, but I understand. So this stuff's going to come up. There's no such thing as perfection. I do a meditation, my mind's all over the place, and I'm thinking about all kinds of stuff. And it's like, that's not a failure. That was the experience. That's, obviously my mind's very busy at the moment. So it's okay. I'm aware of that. A work in progress, your phrase is quite helpful. This is an ongoing work in progress. And sometimes the work goes slowly, and sometimes the work progresses fast. And sometimes I don't seem to be making any progress, and that's all part of the process. And with this kind of, relaxed, accepting attitude, then gradually the addictions, the dramas, the addictions, to resist just fades away. Just awareness dissolves it. Just got to keep at it. Keep going into your higher awareness. And then you just go with the flow. Don't try to push or force the flow of life, but consciously experience this flow from the perspective of these 12 pathways, which is really the perspective of truth. The 12 pathways just are another way of framing the ultimate truth, very much in alignment with the Course and other truth teachings like Buddhism and the Eastern teachings of Advaita and so on. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments or questions on the 6th pathway? Accepting myself completely here and now, allowing myself to consciously experience everything I feel, think, say, and do, including my emotion-backed addictions, as a necessary part of my growth into higher awareness. You see how resilient you become if you apply this. So, okay, well, it's all good. Whatever happens, my emotion-backed addictions, my drama, my pain, it's all part of this growth into higher awareness. It's all okay. Let me just learn from it. And I do that by letting go and moving through it. Okay, so that's the 6th pathway. We're halfway through. Do the 7th one tomorrow. Just on interacting with others, relationships. All right, so let's have a look at today's lesson, shall we? So today's lesson number 2. Let's bring it up. That's worth reading, actually. Just before we get into the lesson, this is related to a recorded discussion that you can go look at. So, John, if you can read that. The curriculum the course proposes is carefully conceived and is explained step by step.
The curriculum the course proposes is carefully conceived and is explained step by step at both the theoretical and practical levels. It emphasizes application rather than theory and experience rather than theology. It specifically states that a universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible but necessary. Although Christian in statement, the course deals with universal spiritual themes. It emphasizes that it is but one version of the universal curriculum. There are many others. This one differing from them only in form. They all lead to God in the end.
Yeah, so very well said. He's saying, all the paths represented by the symbols. You've got the Buddhist wheel, you've got Islam, you've got the Christian cross, you've got Star of David, and that's a Buddhist symbol, actually. They all point to the same and go in the same direction. They take you to this ultimate reality we call God. In the end, there's just the idea of this course is that it's a quick way. It's a shortcut. It cuts through a lot of the dogma and tradition that is incorporated into the world's major religions, and just goes straight to the very essence of things, which is the truth, and the practice becomes letting go of anything that obscures that truth. Okay, so it's another session if you want to go listen to that, another quarter discussion. But now it's time to look at our lesson. So lesson number 2. I've given everything I see in this room or place, wherever you happen to be, all the meaning that it has for me. So again, it's a practice. I'll take you through it just now. The idea is to look around you and just apply the idea to whatever your glance is. Look close by, look further outwards, turn your head around, apply the idea to what's behind you. And just key thing is remain as indiscriminate as possible in selecting subjects for its application. Do not concentrate on anything in particular, and do not attempt to include everything you see in a given area, or you'll introduce strain. So no sense of strain. It's just very casual. Just glance easily and fairly quickly around you, trying to avoid any kind of selection. So don't avoid anything, don't select anything by any criteria: size, brightness, color, material, or relative importance. 2, just take the subject simply as you see them. Apply the exercise to anything that you see indiscriminately. Body or a button, a fly or a floor, an arm or an apple. Again, he's just randomly used whatever. There's no connection between any of them. They just whatever you happen to see. Whatever your eyes have look at, apply it. Make no attempt to include anything particular, but be sure that nothing is specifically excluded. Okay, so shall we I'll just take you through a little application of this. So close your eyes to start with. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Connect with the breath, blow out the stomach. Clench your sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Flow the energy up your spine into the crown of your head. You pause at the top of the inhale. Clearing your mind, scanning your mind for any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, anything that's not helpful. You can just observe it. Remind yourself that I've given everything that I perceive, that includes your inner world, all the meaning that it has for me. I've given everything I perceive in this situation, all the meaning that it has for me. Exhale, and have a sense of just releasing. Blowing it out. The breeze of your breath. to the nothingness that it really is, just to clear some space, allow for some awareness to come in, the sense perceptions. So now open your eyes gently, and you're just going to apply the exercise, apply the idea to whatever you see. So I've given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. So I've given this table all the meaning it has for me. I've given this chair all the meaning it has for me. Apply the idea specifically to a few things. Don't make any effort to avoid anything or select anything. Just whatever your eyes happen to rest on. Just do it with a sense of calm detachment. Do you hit any emotions coming up? Strong thoughts or emotions, notice those and remind yourself, I've given everything that I perceive. Perception includes your thoughts and emotions, all the meaning that it has for me. I've created the meaning, I've made it up, in other words. And if I've given it all the meaning it has for me, ask yourself what the me is. Who is me then? It's an invented meaning. Maybe the me that invented it is also invented. Simply isn't true. So I've given everything I see one more time as you look around, encompass the whole room. I've given everything I see in this room all the meaning that it has for me. And just experience a few moments what it feels like to really understand this. Given everything I see, everything I perceive, I want to take this lesson to another level. Everything I perceive in this room, all the meaning that it has for me. Notice how you're feeling, anchor the state in. Maybe some higher awareness, you're feeling calm, connected, peaceful, loving, perhaps. Notice state. The more you notice these states, the more they become your default state. So by acknowledging them, you invite them into your awareness. So it is. Okay, so any comments, questions, or thoughts on the lesson for today?
No, that's fine for me.
Elaine,
Become?
Yes.
Sorry. You may go, Elaine.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, yeah, I'm fine with it, yes.
Just one question, Jonah, from my side.
Sure.
Does it mean that it's also helping us to realize the connection that we have with, the objects that are before us and helping us to actually, let go of the emotional attachment?
Yeah. It's saying I've given everything, just I've given everything I see, everything I perceive, all the meaning that it has for me. These objects they only have meaning because I've given them meaning. So there's a me, a false me, a sense of a separate self that gives the meaning to everything I perceive. But if the me that's interpreting everything is false, then so is the meaning. The meaning is also false. So we live in a world of false meaning based on a false self-concept that creates false meaning, that then creates a false world. And we get caught up in the false world of perception, believing that it's true, and we struggle and we suffer and we die, but it's all invented. None of it's true because we've made it up. We've given it all the meaning that it has for us. And that's always the case. Whatever you see, you've given it the meaning that it has for you. No one's forcing you to interpret it in that way, are they? No one's forcing you to give it that meaning. You've given it that meaning. This is what free will means. You've chosen to give it that meaning. Your meaning might be incorrect, but you've given it. But you've still chosen it. They're saying, well, if you're aware of this, then stop doing this. Stop giving everything false meaning, because it enslaves you. If you make something mean something to you that it doesn't really mean, then you imprison yourself. Your mind is enslaved by that belief, by that meaning that you've given it. Gave you a good example. Yeah. So the most striking example of this in my life that I've experienced was once I was watching a movie. It's called Indecent Proposal, quite an old movie in the 90s. Demi Moore, Robert Redford, and Woody Harrelson. And so the story is that this guy and his wife go to Las Vegas, and they're struggling to keep their house. So they take their life savings and they gamble it because they need to make the money. And needs to say they lose it. And then this billionaire, Robert Redford, takes a fancy to Demi Moore, and so he makes this indecent proposal, and he says, well, for $1 million, I will give you $1 million, which will sort out their financial woes for one night with Demi Moore. And they discuss it, and they say, well, we have to do this. And then there's a whole lot of fallout because Woody Harrelson can't stand it, and he's mentally and emotionally broken up. So he tears one of their photos in half, and then he pastes it back together. And he's drinking, and so he's passed out. And so the sort of 2IC, the right-hand man of the billionaire, Robert Redford, goes into his house, and he finds him. He's like passed out, and he sees this photo that's been torn in half and then taped back together, and he gives a little kind of wry smile. I was sitting with a friend, and he asked, I was such a bastard. I said, why do you say that? He said, no, because he was like laughing at him. He was mocking him. I said, no, I don't think so. I think he was giving a wry smile because he understood the emotional turmoil that this guy had gone through, which was shown by the photo being torn and then pasted back together. It's like, no, I can't deal with it, separate, and then he pastes it back together again. And so there was actually a smile of understanding and some compassion. So both of us had different interpretations of that situation. Who was right? It was just different perceptions. I gave it the meaning that it had for me, and he gave it the meaning that it had for him. And we didn't see it the same, even though it was the same situation. We saw it very differently because we'd given it different meanings, and that spoke to who we thought we were. I actually didn't. My friendship didn't sustain with him because I realized he was coming from a very different state of mind, much more egoic perspective. This is before I understood any of this stuff, but clearly I understood that this wasn't in alignment with my thought system. So that's a good example, and that's probably happened to you, where someone's given the same thing, you perceive the same thing, and they've just given it a totally different meaning that you didn't see, which shows us that the meaning isn't ultimately true. It's just the meaning that we've assigned to things, that we give it, and then that creates our perception of the world. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so any other thoughts or comments or questions on this one? Otherwise, we shall move on to the text. Okay, so this one is on the at-one-ment or the atonement as defense. So this one is section 2 of chapter 2, the at-one-ment or the atonement as defense. Okay, let's ask John to kick it off then. John, if you can read that. Not much to translate there, so let's read in the alternative.
I can do anything I am asked. I have been asked to make corrections, and it has been made clear to me that corrections are natural, corrective, healing, and universal. There is nothing they cannot do, but they cannot be performed in the spirit of doubt or fear. When I am afraid of anything, I am acknowledging its power to hurt me. I need to remember that where my feelings are, there my treasure also is. I believe in what I value. If I am afraid, I am valuing wrongly. My understanding will then inevitably value wrongly, and by endowing all thoughts with equal power, will inevitably destroy my peace. That is why the Bible speaks of the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. This peace is totally incapable of being shaken by errors of any kind. It denies the ability of anything that does not come from perfect love to affect me. This is the proper use of denial. It is not used to hide anything, but to correct error. It brings all error into the light of true awareness. And since error and limited awareness are the same, it corrects error automatically.
Yeah, so the translation there's light. Light is true awareness and darkness is limited awareness. God is perfect love. So what's he saying in this one?
Well, he's saying we can do anything that we have the capacity and the ability to do anything that we are called or truly inspired to do, and that fear can have no place. If we notice that we have fear, then we are no longer in alignment with source.
And the idea of denying, proper use of denial is to deny the error, deny the denial of truth. It says at some other point in the course. When you deny the denial of truth, then you're back in the truth. This is the proper use of denial. Not used to hide anything, but to correct error. So you don't hide the error. The key thing about this is don't hide it. You must look at it first. Become aware of it. So you're aware of the thoughts and the emotions and maybe experience some of the pain of it. And then you deny it and say, no, this is not true. This is not reality. This is not what I want. I'm willing to let go of the thought and the feeling. Otherwise, you metaphysically ghost over the top of it or spiritually bypass, whichever term you want to use. You're not really looking at it. You don't really experience the negative thoughts and feelings, and how can you let them go? So the proper methodology is you're aware of it, you don't shy away from it, you really look at the ego. That means you experience its thoughts and its emotions. It can be quite painful, but you don't shy away, you don't try and distract yourself or deny the experience. And then when you face those thoughts and emotions, you're experiencing them, you bring in the correction, which reminds you that none of this is true. You can let this go because this is all false. You're just giving it the meaning it has for you. You can release it. And that is the proper use of denial. You deny the ego as it arises in your experience. And when you do it that way, then it is undone. You haven't covered it over and hidden it. It's come into the light of conscious awareness. As he says, brings all error into the light of true awareness and then helps you release it. Since error and limited awareness are the same, it corrects error automatically. So in your true awareness, there's a natural correction for the limited awareness. Kind of what we're doing with the Vipassana in some ways. Just bringing everything into true awareness, and then there's a natural correction that happens in that process. Okay, so any other thoughts on number 1? Questions, comments?
No, that's good for me.
Okay, happy, Elaine and Bakong?
Yeah.
Happy, yes.
Okay, so true denial is a powerful protective device. Bakong, if you can read that one in the alternative, because there's not much to translate until we get to the last sentence or so.
Okay. True denial is a powerful protective device. I can and should deny any belief that error can hurt me. This kind of denial is not a concealment, but a correction. My right mind depends on it. Denial of error is a strong defense of truth, but denial of truth results in miscreation, the projections of the belief in separation. In the service of the right mind, the denial or letting go of error frees my mind and re-establishes the freedom of pure formless awareness. When awareness is really free, it cannot miscreate.
So translation is reestablishes the freedom of the will. So which we do is translate will as awareness, the freedom of pure formless awareness. Okay, and then the same. When the will is really free, it cannot miscreate because it recognizes only truth. It comes when my awareness is really free.
When my awareness is really free, it cannot miscreate because it recognizes only truth.
You were talking about exactly this process. You're saying, well, I'm becoming aware of what's not true. I'm becoming aware of the miscreations and recognizing that they are false and recognizing the underlying truth. And in that truth is freedom. And so you see how powerful it is to actually apply these ideas in your experience when you do this. You do experience a sense of freedom, don't you? Freedom,
Yes.
peace, happiness. But when you're, and these are just glimpses, when your awareness is really free, and you've let go of all of it, and it cannot miscreate, because it will recognize only the truth. And miscreation implies falsity. It's a mistake, a miscreation. Okay, so any questions on that or thoughts?
No question really.
Okay.
But I'm also getting the understanding that it's actually important to, to protect the truth or be in strong defense of the truth. Because that process will actually, start to free a person, from separation or being entangled in the cycle.
It's the only way. To accept the truth, you must deny error. It's completely logical, because the error contradicts the truth. The error covers over the truth and tells you that the error is the truth. But underneath that is the truth that's still buried there. So you must deny the error in order to uncover the truth. This is about cutting away what is not you, what is an error, to reveal what is you. It's the same process that the greatest sculptor ever, Michelangelo, used to sculpt his masterpieces like the David. He just said, well, I see the block of marble and I just remove what is not true, what is not authentically David. I take that away. So I cut away the errors, essentially. The parts of the block that are not the authentic sculpture, and then what remains is the truth. So the denial of error then is a strong defense of truth. But if I deny the truth, then I must miscreate. From the denial of the truth come the projections of separation, projections of the ego. And we see what those projections are, guilt and sin and fear and attack and various behaviors that support that. And an entire world, the Big Bang, is a projection of guilt and fear outwards. So when I deny truth, it results in the projection of error outwards, and that is in fact is why we think we live in an external world. It's just a projection of error outwards. So when we deny all of this, we restore our mind to its original state, pure formless awareness of perfect love, before the error of separation was made. That's why he says denial of the truth. Denial of the error is a strong defense of the truth. So if you deny all of this in the red boxes and the red arrows, then what's left is simply the truth. In the blue circle, God, oneness, pure formless awareness, perfect love, and nothing else. So it's quite simple, really, isn't it? Just deny the error and the truth will arise, become more and more convincing to you. All right, so happy to move on to number 3. I think it's Elaine. You can read in the alternative, Elaine. I can defend truth as well as error.
I can defend truth as well as error. This means, the means are easier to understand after the value of the goal is firmly established. The question is, what is it for? Everyone defends what they value and does so automatically. The real questions are, what do I value and how much do I value it? Once I have learned to consider these questions and to bring them into all my decisions, I will have little difficulty in clarifying the means. The means are available whenever I ask. However, I can save time if I do not prolong this step for too long. The correct focus will shorten it immeasurably.
Okay, what's he saying in this one?
We can defend the truth, or we can defend the error. We can choose. And the question is, what is it for? Everyone defends what they value by default. But the real question is, what do we really value and how much do we value it?
Yeah, that's the question.
Give us the clarification. But we can save time and not prolong this.
So if I see that I value falsely, and that's causing me to suffer, I have little difficulty in clarifying the means. Well, the means is obvious. Let go of what you value falsely. Deny it. Correct focus will shorten it immeasurably. So this is the course. He's saying don't focus on the truth. Focus on denying the error. See, that's the whole method, the whole letting go methodology. Focus on denying the error, on forgiving, in other words, or letting go of the errors, and what will reveal itself through that focus, the correct focus, is the truth. Because when you deny error, all that's left is the truth. So you don't have to focus directly on the truth. You focus on letting go of the errors which block it. And once those are clear, then the truth reveals itself naturally, spontaneously. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yes.
A very, very simple course. It's a very simple methodology. He says at some point, this course is actually very, very simple. It's just you've made it complicated and difficult. He's saying deny the falsity consistently, make no exceptions, just keep denying it. And what will arise naturally in your awareness is the truth. Because that's all that's left. If you deny all error, what remains must be the truth. It's a very logically consistent position, isn't it? And so saying focus your efforts on denying the error, because that is going to reveal the truth to you, and that's the way that you awaken to the truth. Unfortunately, we can do that. We get the opportunity to deny the errors all the time. So as the errors show up and we experience their effects, there's the opportunity to deny the error right there. That makes sense. So everything's just an opportunity to once again deny the ego's thought system in whatever way, shape, or form it's manifesting. If you see it as such, you go, okay, we'll bring it on. Whatever my experiences in life are, they're really just designed from a spiritual perspective to help me to deny the error of the ego. And this is just another experience that's helping me to do that, to bring it on. I'm not scared of it. All right, so should we move on to number 4?
Yep.
John, if you can read that again. Just the atonement or the one-ment. So not really anything to translate. Read in the alternative then. The at-one-ment is the only defense.
The at-one-ment is the only defense that cannot be used destructively because it is not a device I made. The atonement principle was in effect long before the atonement began. The principle was love, and the atonement was an act of love.
So say it as at-one-ment. Say it as at-one-ment. I think that's really the translation of it, is you just pronounce it differently.
The principle was love, and the at-one-ment was an act of love. Acts were not necessary before the separation because belief in space and time did not exist. It was only after the separation that the at-one-ment and the conditions necessary for its fulfillment were planned. Then a defense so splendid was needed that it could not be misused, although it could be refused. However, refusal could not turn it into a weapon of attack, which is the inherent characteristic of other defenses. So the at-one-ment becomes the only defense that is not a double-edged sword. It can only heal.
So what's he saying in this one?
It's saying that the atonement, the at-one-ment, is not a vehicle, an instrument that can be used in any other way but for correction. It can't actually be used destructively by the ego.
Yeah, not a double-edged sword. Whereas the ego's device is always double-edged. It seems to help. Often it hurts. It's got a downside as well. And that one-man can only heal. Take a good example would be drugs. So you take a drug, and apparently it's meant to heal, but it has side effects. So it's double-edged. It can hurt you as well. That's the characteristic of the ego's defenses. The ego's solutions, magic solutions, always double-edged. Whereas the at-one-ment is not double-edged because it's purely corrective, can only heal. Sees what is false as false, denies the error, and therefore accepts the truth. And because it's only accepting the truth, it can only heal. And then he's saying this was planned. Acts were not necessary. So the principle is love. One was an act of love. Acts were not necessary before the separation, was belief in space and time did not exist. So that one-ment, although it's an illusion, because actually the separation doesn't happen, it's the one illusion that gets you out of the illusion. It's not ultimately true, but it creates it. So all other illusions perpetuate illusions. The one doesn't. This is why it's a double-edged. It's not a double-edged sword. It's a defense that is going to ultimately work. It's based on the principle of oneness. That's why we say at-one-ment, because we are going towards perfect oneness. The at-one-ment is that process and that ultimate realization of perfect oneness. That's completely beyond the thought of separation and any error. Okay, so any other thoughts on that paragraph, Elaine, number 4? Happy with it?
Yeah.
All right, so number 5 then. Let's ask Bakung to read that. That one was built into the space-time belief.
The one-ment was built into the space-time belief to set a limit on the need for the belief itself, and ultimately to make learning complete. The one-ment is the final lesson. Learning itself, like the classrooms in which it occurs, is temporary. The ability to learn has no value when change is no longer necessary. The externally existent have nothing to learn. I can learn to improve my perceptions and become a better and better learner. This will bring me closer and closer accord with the extension. But the extension itself is a perfect extension of perfect love. And perfection is not a matter of a degree. Only while there is a belief in differences is learning meaningful.
Let's change that around. Learning is meaningful only while I believe in differences. Does that make sense?
Yes.
As long as I believe in separation and differences, then I need to learn that there's another way. I need to learn another belief system, which is what I can do. And all do that if we choose to. So we come closer and closer into accord with the truth. As we learn, we get closer to the ultimate truth of who we are, which is perfection. Extension itself is a perfect extension of perfect love. So the original is the sonship. This will bring you into closer and closer accord with the sonship. The sonship itself is a perfect creation. Perfection is not a matter of degree. Extension itself is a perfect extension of perfect love, and perfection is not a matter of degree. So the perfect oneness is absolutely perfect. That means there is no separation. So we're going for perfection, which isn't a matter of degree. The way we get to perfection is we can learn systematically and progressively. If we look at this Holy Trinity diagram, it illustrates it quite well. So imagine there was no intermediary level. There's not the true self, Christ, or Son, extension, Buddha, Atman level. And these blue arrows. You would just have this red box, which is this world and all the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, trauma, successes, failures, and all other experiences seem to exist and happen in this world of time and space. And you'd have pure formless awareness of perfect love or source, knowledge, revelation, nirvana. And in between, there'd be this massive chasm without this as a bridge. It becomes very, very difficult, if not impossible. So what Yeshua's given to us is learning. He says you can actually learn the thought system of the true self. You can learn that there's only one self. You can learn to let go of your false perceptions and have true perceptions. This is Christ's vision. These are the miracles of corrections. And in this learning, you restore your mind more and more into the true self, which is really just an extension, hence the word extension, of this original source, which we can call pure formless awareness of perfect love. So your true self is ultimately pure formless awareness of perfect love. And so there's a bridge. You see this? Well, this diagram shows it well. You get back to pure formless awareness by raising yourself up into an awareness of the true self, or the Christ, which is one self, which can still perceive in this world, but it has true perceptions and it knows the truth because it's connected to its source. Source is pure formless awareness of perfect love. So that makes sense. The Holy Trinity. Kang, I'm not sure you've seen that before. So does that diagram make sense?
Yes, it
Illustrate
does.
this. And so in this, the course is focused really on this, the shift from this state, being in just completely identified with your ego and believing that you're a separate self, and identifying with all the experiences that seem to exist and happen in this world as real. That's saying you must learn to correct these perceptions and raise your awareness up into the true self. And the course is really 99% focused on this process of forgiveness and atonement. And he's saying, focus your attention, therefore, on denying the error, and what will arise in time is you will come to know God. And then on the true self, if you really identified with that, you just kind of merge. It says God takes the final step. It means that you merge back in to this awareness, because it's more and more in your awareness. You're training your mind to that, becoming more and more aware of it. Eventually that's all that remains. And you just merge or sink back into this pure formless awareness of perfect love. When that happens, then the Father, the Source, and the Son, or the extension, which is the true self, have merged. So that's the mystical union of the Father and the Son. Happens through the correction of errors, through the denial of errors. So it's not far out and mystical and otherworldly and unattainable. He's actually been very practical. He's saying, well, you can get into this state by just consistently letting go. All right, so happy with number 5. Kang, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions or comments on number 5?
No.
Yeah. So number 6, Elaine, if you can read that. Evolution is a process. And reading the alternative.
Yeah. Evolution is a process in which I seem to proceed from one degree to the next. I correct my previous errors by stepping forward. This process is actually not understandable in terms of linear time, because I return to the truth as I go forward in time. The At-One-ment is the device by which I can free myself from the past as I go ahead. It undoes my past errors, so making it unnecessary for me to keep retracing my steps without advancing to my return home. In this sense, the At-One-ment saves time, but like the corrections it enables, does not abolish it. As long as At-One-ment is needed, there is a need for time, but the At-One-ment as a completed plan has unique relationship to time. Until the at-one-ment is complete, its various phases will proceed in time, but the complete at-one-ment stands at the end of time. At that point, the bridge of return will have been built.
Okay, what's that saying?
So while we're in this evolution process, we'll be going bit by bit, degree to the next stage until the next stage. And we'll still be in this linear time before we return to the truth. But the at-one-ment is a device to free ourselves from the past as we go ahead on this journey.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at this diagram again. It illustrates it quite well. So as we go forward in linear time, we're going, towards aging, death, so on. But the at-one-ment is on the vertical axis, or on the horizontal axis. The at-one-ment says at any point in this journey, you can raise yourself up above the battleground into this awareness, pure formless awareness, perfect love, which is always there. And so as we progress in time, if we are doing this work of correcting our mind, we raise ourselves above the linear time sequence into the eternal now. And if we keep doing that systematically and progressively, we identify more and more with this awareness. It becomes our true awareness. And we know that this is who we are. The end of our life, if we finally lay the body aside or die, as it's called, and our mind is so in tune with this awareness that there's no other awareness, then that's enlightenment. Then we've awoken to who we really are, and the ego, psychological, and emotional attachments are undone. And we know we don't need to come back. If you don't have the ego, psychological, and emotional attachments anymore, then there's no need to play out those attachments in another life and come again and come into this world as a body and live out another life on the timeline. You don't need to do that anymore, because there's just pure formless awareness and perfect love. You've completely accepted that, and you've merged with it, and your life, your final lifetime was the final correction of your mind to allow that to happen. Okay. So any questions on that? Bakung's got to go. All right, Bakung, thanks for joining. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Until at-one-ment is complete, its various phases will proceed in time. The completed at-one-ment stands at the end of time. At that point, the bridge of return will have been built. So at the end of time, there's only pure formless awareness of perfect love. There's only this. But while time seems to continue, the at-one-ment process is ongoing. It's a work in progress. As things happen, they arise, they trigger you, the ego arises, and then your job is to let it go and transcend it. And that's ongoing while you're in time. Ongoing process of correcting or denying the errors to accept the truth. If you keep doing that, then ultimately you find your way back to this awareness, to heaven, in other words, and don't have to return. Okay. Yeah, the thoughts, comments, or questions on number 6?
Fine. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so let's go to number 7 then. John, if you can read that.
The at-one-ment is a total commitment. I may still think this is associated with loss. Mistake all the separated extensions of perfect love make in one way or another. I guess what he's saying there, that when he says associated with loss, is that the individual self sees going back to spirit as being lost because it's loss of individuality.
On the things that the ego cherishes.
Yes, I did
So I'm totally to oneness. I think, oh, you know, well, I'm going to lose my body. I'm going to lose my special identity, my special relationships, the things I like to do in this world, you know, the secret pleasures, whatever. I'm going to lose that. And we make, you know, all the separated extensions of perfect love, making one way or another. That's what prevents us from just going, yeah, well, of course, you know, let me just give it my all and commit to this 100%, because actually I'm not losing anything. I'm only gaining. What we're losing is just an illusion. It was never true or real. But the egos try to convince us that it's true and real.
So carrying on, number 3, it is hard to believe a defense that cannot attack is the best defense. This is what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. They will literally take it over because of their strength. So he's saying there that it's difficult to believe that something that has no attack in it is the best form of defense.
Yeah, for the ego, it's hard to
believe. And that is actually their strength, because they have no interest in attack.
Yeah, because if there's no attack thoughts in your mind, then you no longer believe in attack, and you can't be fearful of anything. Attack and fear go hand in hand. So, you know, what cannot attack is actually the best defense. It's what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth.
And to have no desire for attack is a strength. Yeah.
Yeah. So ego tells you that's weakness, but you cannot be hurt and suffer if you don't believe in attack. This is what he means by the meek shall inherit the earth. Literally take it over because of their strength. Do you want to carry on?
Yeah. A two-way defense is inherently weak, precisely because it has two edges and can therefore be turned against me very unexpectedly. Not sure what he means by two-way defense, actually.
Well, earlier he talked about the double-edged sword, two-edged sword. So two-way defense means that it's both a defense, but it's also an attack. So, a good example, again, let's take the medical industry. You know, the two-way defense is a drug. So they give you a drug to address a condition. They say, no, this is going to help. But actually it's got double edge, because it has various side effects that are harmful. He turned against me very unexpectedly. Oh, no, I thought this was going to, sort it out, but now I'm taking the drug and I'm getting these horrible side effects. My ego's not happy. I thought that if I bought into it, I thought, this was going to be the answer. Because it's inherently two-edged. That's what he's saying. There's attack as well as defense in it. Yeah. This possibility cannot be controlled except by corrections. So in that instance, if you let go of your belief in the magic, say, look, I'm actually out of alignment with the truth. If I believe a drug's going to sort it out, I correct my mind, then there's no downside to that one-ment. It's purely corrective. It's purely healing. There's no, two-edged problem. So another example would be, it's also drug related, but chemotherapy. To take Anita Mojani's example, that what the oncologists were giving her was a two-way defense. Yes, you take the chemo, it's going to kill the cancer, but it's also going to likely kill you because it's so toxic. She experienced a near-death experience. She experienced the at-one-ment in that near-death experience, and immediately her body started to heal. Her tumors started clearing up. 5 weeks later, she was completely clear, and they couldn't explain it. And there was no downside to that process. There was no double-edged sword that was going to hurt her, because she just purely went into the at-one-ment and was purely healing. And that then reflected in her body's healing. So that's I think, by example, that's what he means. The double-edged sword, two-way defenses, which is characteristic always of the ego. Whatever the ego's solutions are always double-edged, and they have the possibility of hurting you because of that.
This possibility cannot be controlled except by correction. The correction directs the defense of at-one-ment for my real protection, and as I become more and more secure, I assume my natural talent of protecting others, knowing myself as both a companion to them and an extension of perfect love. So he's saying here that the at-one-ment requires total commitment, and through atonement we move into this state of being able to see everything perfectly, and therefore losing all sense of fear. And actually the result of that is that we are extremely strong.
Yeah. We deny all error. Take Yeshua. I mean, extremely, greatest healer ever, probably enormously powerful spiritual teacher and healer. And his defense was simply to deny sin. And he always said that your sin isn't real. He'd say to people, your sins are forgiven. Your sins aren't real. And that was the source of his power and of the miracles he did and the healing. Because it was just a very clear, direct denial of what is false. He made that very explicit to people to help them to accept it as well. That sin was not real. Your sins are forgiven and you're free. Direct denial of the error. He went straight into the error. He denied it. So that was the defense of the at-one-ment. And then, you saw this enormous power that got released. So it's recorded in history as his healings and miracles. So it was never a double-edged nature to it. What he was doing couldn't hurt people. Whereas the healing of today is, it's hardly that. It's arguably more harmful than healing in many instances. This is not based on the at-one-ment, it's based on magic. Magic is then a two-edged defense, as he calls it, double-edged sword. Two-edged defense that inherently has attack as well as defense in it. So it can hurt you. And when I do this, assume my natural talents are protecting others, knowing myself as both a companion to them and an extension of perfect love. Again, Yeshua as our teacher, great example of that. He dedicated his life to knowing the truth himself, knowing that he was, the Son of God, but extending that to others. So, spent a lot of his time protecting others, helping them, healing them, nurturing them, and recognizing himself as a companion. He was a great companion to his disciples, to his followers, even to people he didn't know, like the Samaritan woman comes to mind. She's like, well, I'm so-called unclean, I'm a Samaritan. It's like, I've come here just for you. I've come to give you this message to this world today, to give you this message. Because I'm your companion and you need healing. So the meek shall inherit the earth. He was enormously meek and humble, and yet, look at what his teaching did. It conquered the whole. Christianity's gone everywhere. Become an enormously powerful, influential thought system from this meekness that he displayed. Okay, so any other thoughts on paragraph 7? Well, let's go to the summary. It's Elaine leaving. Okay, Elaine, good night. So just let's read the summary and the key message to wrap it up.
The more I bring the errors of fear and doubt into the light of my true awareness, which I can access through my heart, the more the errors of darkness will disappear and bring me the perfect peace, the peace of perfect love that surpasses all understanding. I must deny the errors of my separate self to defend the truth and let go of the miscreations and projections of my belief in separation. This will free my mind by re-establishing my true awareness.
Okay. Thoughts on those two? To summarize.
Yes. Encouraging us to be vigilant in our alignment with spirit, because that will take us true to strength and protect us.
Yeah. It's a call for vigilance. Vigilance is to notice the errors and then deny them.
I choose the truth by what I value. So if I focus on valuing what is true and letting go of valuing what is false, my decisions will become easier and I will save myself a lot of time and needless suffering. The at-one-ment principle is the at-one-ment principle of unconditional love that's actualized by the letting go of the denial of love in all its forms is the only defense of the truth that I cannot use to attack. So I accept the plan of at-one-ment rather than my own.
Okay, just pause there so to understand what he's saying.
So it's saying that we actually choose truth by letting go of our illusions, our judgments, and the atonement, the at-one-ment's principle of unconditional love is based on letting go of all denial of love in its many forms.
Only defense of truth that cannot use to attack. So instead of using magic, which is double-edged and can hurt me, I accept the plan of at-one-ment rather than my own. Say, look, I don't actually know how to do this. The world system, thought system, and plan has failed me, and so I accept this plan that is not my own.
Yeah.
And that's the meekness, that's the humility. Hence the meek shall inherit the earth. He who humbles himself will be made great. Another way to say that. Great in the spirit, not in the world. Okay, next one. The at-one-ment has been the way out.
The at-one-ment has been the way out of the time-space belief since time began. I must learn to improve my perceptions and become a better and better learner in time by applying its principles. This will bring me into closer and closer relationship with everyone and everything, and ultimately remove my belief in differences, which will be the final step in the at-one-ment.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
So he's saying is that the at-one-ment has always been our escape route from time, space, the ego illusion. But we have to work on our perceptions by applying the principles of at-one-ment. And that will bring us closer with everybody and ultimately with pure formless awareness itself.
Yeah. I'll just sort of remove my belief in differences. And interesting, he says, the space-time is just a belief.
Yeah.
These things are merely a belief. Space and time are just beliefs, which is why they're relative. Einstein discovered the theory of relativity, that nothing here is absolute. These are relative. Why? Because they're just beliefs, which are not true. Makes sense then, doesn't it? That's why there's no absolute reality in space-time, because they're just beliefs that can be undone.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what he's saying here. When we undo them, we attain the state where there's no differences anymore, no belief in differences. And when there's no belief in differences, that's the final step in the at-one-ment. No belief in differences means you're perfectly one, and you have merged yourself back into pure formless awareness, perfect love, which is the final step. God takes the final step, he says. Okay, so the at-one-ment is the means.
The at-one-ment is the means by which I can free myself from the past as I live in time. It undoes my past errors, so making it unnecessary for me to keep learning the same lessons and getting stuck in time. The at-one-ment will save me time and help me to experience the transcendent state of pure formless awareness in which everyone has transcended time now.
Yeah, what's that saying? Summary.
So the at-one-ment is the process by which I will remove myself from this time-space dimension and take me through the transcendent state of pure formless awareness.
It'll save me time. The more the more I apply the at-one-ment, which is this letting go philosophy, the sooner I'll free myself from all of my attachments and become more and more aligned with my true self. That inevitably leads us, the more we identify with our true self, the more closer we get to pure formless awareness of perfect love. So it's very simple. The more we let go, the more we identify with our true self, the more closer we get to pure formless awareness of perfect love. And all of that's good. That's the one-man process. That's what we're meant to do. And making consistent corrections directs the defense of the one-man for our real protection. So you must just make these consistent corrections. You want to read the last one?
Making consistent corrections directs the defense of at-one-ment for my real protection. And as I become more and more secure and confident, I will fulfill my natural role of protecting others and knowing myself as their companion and the extension of perfect love. I was saying here that continuously making corrections is the very definition of at-one-ment, and as we practice it, we will get closer to our others and the extension of perfect love itself.
Self, shall we? Yeah. It's pretty simple, actually. This isn't. And this time around, you're reading the course. Are you seeing, understanding it better, and seeing how simple it actually is?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, I mean,
although the language isn't always straightforward, it's what he's saying is actually pretty simple. As he says, this is a very simple course. It's only a resistance to it that makes it difficult and complex.
got the
just a key message.
Yeah, it's got the use of the word power here, which I don't think you see very often. I don't remember the power very often. I am guided to correct all errors through the power of my pure formless awareness, which leads me to recognize that my freedom lies in letting go of limited belief. The at-one-ment, which is an act of love, facilitates my return to pure formless awareness of perfect love, teaching me to extend love and protect through my innocence. A process which will ultimately lead to my full awakening.
Yeah, this is the summary that the AI generated. So, power of my pure formless awareness. Maybe I edited it a bit. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Guided to correct errors through the power of my pure formless awareness. So that's the power that helps us to let go the underlying truth, which is always true. And so, in contrast, we look at the error in the light of pure formless awareness, and the error then is evidently false, self-evidently. With that perspective, if we don't have the perspective of pure formless awareness, then the error can seem to be true. But if we know pure formless awareness, then the error is evidently false, self-evidently false. So it leads me to recognize that my freedom lies in letting go of all of my limited beliefs. And the at-one-ment facilitates my return to this pure formless awareness of perfect love, teaches me to extend love and protect others through my innocence. Process which will ultimately lead to my full awakening. Again, Yeshua is a very good example of that. He protected others through his innocence, his healing. His whole teaching was based on pure formless awareness of perfect love. He indicated always to people that they were innocent, whole, complete, and their sins were forgiven. And so he protected them from the ravages of the ego and many, miraculous healings result. It's all part of the process of at-one-ment, leading to full awakening, which he did. He demonstrated what full awakening looks like, and really, played his part fully in the at-one-ment process. Okay, so any other thoughts on at-one-ment? At-one-ment is a defense of the truth, but it's the only defense that's not double-edged, because there's nothing that can come into harm as a result of using at-one-ment.
No, I think it makes very good sense, John.
As the Course always does. Okay. So shall we leave it there?
Yes, please. I'm time to get to bed. Very good, John. Thank you very much. I think I've lost you, John, so I'll say good night and hopefully see you tomorrow.
All right. So thank you to everyone who joined, John, and staying till the end, Elaine and Kang, Lynn, Karen. Great session. If you watched on the live stream, then do join us sometime in one of these sessions. There's an open session this Sunday. Let's go to theaolg.com. That's THEAOLG.com to find out more about that and register. You can also subscribe to receive some of the information I sent you, the quote, shared up front, the daily quote, and mind training lesson. So go to lifebuild.com, that's lifebuild.com, to sign up to that. Both of those URLs are below in the text box related to this video. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you enjoyed this, then do subscribe, and you'll be notified whenever I go live, which is 6 days a week. So you can enjoy this content free, and hopefully it can help you to find the love, peace, and joy that are your natural birthright. Apply the at-one-ment as a defense of the truth, which is my wish for you. So thanks for listening and watching, and namaste, which means the truth in me acknowledges and honors that same truth in you. Peace.